All right, it's Ty here. I want to personally welcome you to the 67 steps. Now, listen to this little welcome intro because some people have made some mistakes in using this improperly. Let me show you the correct way to use it. All right, so as you know, if you read a little bit before you got in here, that the reason I picked 66 days is because University College London found that's the minimum time on average it takes to form new habits. So if you're trying to revolutionize your life, find the good life, all that stuff, it literally starts with rewiring and downloading these new frameworks. So one thing I've noticed is that people kind of taper off. They listen to the first one and then the second one a little bit less and the third one. Remember what Charlie Munger, the self-made billionaire, says. If you want to know what it takes to be successful, also invert. What does it take to not be successful? If you knew you didn't want to be successful, what would be the attributes you'd have? And Charlie Munger made it pretty clear. It's sloth and unreliability. So part of the reason that I just didn't make this 2 videos or 3 videos is because I want to see who makes it through. Can you make it through? Can you stick with something for 67 days? And of course, you know, it's your life. I can't tell you what you should do. But part of the process that you're going to be going through, whether it be for the goal of revolutionizing your body, revolutionizing your bank account, your social life, your fulfillment, it's the same thing. You've got to be reliable. So really make at least 50% of the goal here is to execute on the habit of sticking with something. I read somewhere that about 85% of people give up on their New Year's resolution within a week. You see, that in of itself is the problem. It's not that there's anything good or bad or about New Year's resolutions. In fact, you can make a New Year's resolution to do anything. I want to eat a piece of celery every day for 2 months. That'd be a better resolution than whatever it is most people make a resolution with, like to lose 30 pounds. Because the in and of itself, the process of sticking with the resolution gets you the end game that you want. It rewires your brain to be reliable. Trust me, do not underestimate the Achilles heel type weakness you and I probably have when it comes to reliability. So it's 67 days, 1 a day. It'll release. You should get an email saying the new lesson is released. Each one as you go through, pay attention because all of these work together as a cohesive whole. You cannot take one and separate it from the other, okay? So if you listen to the first 3, it's basically like listening to none. You need all 67. I built it carefully. I spent literally hundreds of hours before, and then of course I had to record for like 67 hours. So take time out of the day. You can download them. Remember, there's a worksheet on these. I recommend that you do 2 things. When you're done, you comment there, right on the page, so I can see it. I do monitor these, believe it or not, so I can interact with you, all right? Because I check the private inbox on the site, I can write you about your reply. The second thing is print off the worksheets or the little journal. We have like building in, we're testing a few different ways of doing it, so you'll see on the page like the journal. You should at some point print off and put this into a 3-ring binder, okay? That 3-ring binder is something you put on your bookshelf. You can see my bookshelves around me. I'm in my library here, my favorite room, surrounded by books. And what I learned many years ago when I started this when I was like 16, you write things out, get them in your binder. You go back and look years later, it builds confidence in you because you'll see that you were smart back then and you should have stuck with your gut instincts in a sense, or you should have stuck with, not necessarily your gut instinct because sometimes that's wrong, but the direction that you had is generally the right path. Humans get it wrong on little individual decisions, but oftentimes, especially when you're younger, you have clarity of direction. So you're going to get wisdom from it. You're going to get encouragement of seeing your own, yourself as you thought and progressed. And, you're also going to literally get, you're going to get, there is a certain power in writing. I don't think it's a magical power. I think people overdo it. It's not like writing automatically makes something happen. Some people, remember, humans haven't always had the gift of language and writing, and they still were able to make their way through life. But it is an extra added bonus. Guys like Jeff Bezos, I was just reading his book. He kept journals with him at every moment, writing things down. Richard Branson, the billionaire, same thing. So I want you to have this 67 steps journal that you use as a benchmark for yourself. Other things. As you're listening to these, some of them are videos, some of them are audios, but all of them have an audio download link. So if you want to listen while you're maybe driving or taking care of your kids or working out, that's fine. Audio is good. Even on the ones that I have videos, you don't have to watch the video. Some of them I just decided to do the video just because some people like watching. Kind of stratified market. Some people like it, some people don't. So it gave you both options. Really look at the community feedback, because my site, I built it as a unit. Remember what Jonathan Haidt told me, the great, done 3 TED Talks, NYU professor, wrote Happiness Hypothesis. Says humans are hive animals, right? Like beehive, ant hives, or ant nests. In the same way, we feed subconsciously without necessarily understanding what's going on. The encouragement of other people commenting and you seeing that will drive you forward. Remember, this is about you, but you got to understand the hardwiring of the human brain and the social nature. Matt Lieberman, the Harvard professor, one of these stacks here, I've got his book. Oh, there it is. Social. Matt Lieberman. There's a social component that you must have. I got an email from somebody and he's like, man, I'm not sticking with stuff. And I'm like, well, buddy, are you doing it alone? Are you trying to do it off willpower? We know there's a finite level to willpower. Psychologists and scientists have actually done a study that you can literally deplete the amount of willpower. It's some hormonal enzyme type, catalyst type effect that we have, probably at the DNA genetic level. And so if you're just relying on brute willpower, that's probably why, if you look back at your life, you haven't stuck with things. Things that you do in a group, you're more likely to stick to. So focus on leaving the comments, focus on writing in addition to that, focus on the reliability to go through it. Pick something and stick to it. I can't tell you, and you're going to learn this in one of the 67 steps. I mean, as I look between people that I know, people who succeed plan and execute. That's it. 2 things. People ask me, hey, Tai, what's it going to take to be successful? I'm like, well, as far as I can tell, from the books I've read, from the successful people that I'm lucky to call my friends, it's as simple as planning and executing. So you've made a plan, and that's to go through the 67 steps. You see that there's some potential value there for you. Now just execute and stick to the plan. So many times in my life, that's why I said I love these journals. You look back and you're like, I had the perfect plan. I knew it. How many times have you thought, man, I had that business idea, and yet someone else goes off and makes $1 billion? I had that idea for that. I remember when I was younger, I was like, I was going to make a movie about the J.R. Tolkien books, the Lord of the Rings series. I had that idea when I was like 8. Of course, I'm sure many thousands and tens of thousands of people did too. But then I saw Peter Jackson. I was in New Zealand, in Queenstown, New Zealand. If you've ever been there, it's a cool, famous place. And they were filming the first one. And I was like, wait, somebody stole my idea. But you know, it's true. I could have executed. I had that plan from 8. Why didn't I execute it? Maybe it wasn't my destiny, or maybe I wasn't reliable. Part of what we're doing here is ingraining and injecting a new thought pattern, a new approach to life. And everything starts with reliability. Sloth and unreliability. If you're too lazy, in the modern world, we're too lazy to just click a button. It's all there. It's not like we're having to walk miles through the jungle to get to it. Yet we don't stick with stuff. I want you to stick with this. Not for me. I don't get anything out of it. These are recorded. It's not my pride or something like that. You're here. Stick with something. It's only 2 months and a week or so. It's not that much of your time. You can do it while you do other things. Interact fully. Part of it, I was telling my staff, I was like, I want to see who makes it through to the end. Everybody watches the first one. You're going to get that next, the first lesson. And about, you get a drop off on the second one. And the third one, I'm like, man, people are dropping off in 3 days. People can't stick with stuff for 3 days. One of my business partners, who makes, I don't know, $3-4 million a month in an online education company, he was like, Tai, you don't even need to do 67. People won't stick with it, I know. He's much more pessimistic about humans than me. And I was like, you know what? Look, man, even if they don't, somebody will. And like Will Durant says, life is about competition. It's about selection. It's about the people willing to do the things that most people won't do. So I hope you're one of those people that are going to stick to it to the end. You might miss a day, but don't miss many. Because think of what happens. This is what people don't realize. Every day you resolve to do something and don't do it, you're literally rewiring your brain. I talked to Dr. Sharon Molam, the best-selling author of Inheritance. I've been talking a lot about him recently because it's a fascinating concept. He says everything's happening on gene levels. Epigenetics. Your genes are changing, morphing, boom, 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 based on stimuli from you. So if your stimuli, that the feedback you're giving to your genes is when you resolve to do something, you won't do it. And by the way, that's genetic, okay? But your genes are changeable, so you're not stuck. But if you're not careful, you'll go down that groove. You're probably missing out on many of those things you want out of life simply because of unreliability. So part of it is resolve. I will get through every one of these videos. I might miss one or two. I might get a day off, but I'm going to stick with it from today, 67 days. I was on the farm. I remember with the Amish guy. I spent 2.5 years with the Amish, and this Amish guy was in Holmes County, Ohio. David Klein I was with, and there was an old man there, and he said, I said, he's a dairy farmer. It means he had to wake up every morning, milk cows by hand. They didn't use technology. 5 in the morning, he would milk cows, or 4 in the morning, sorry, and then 4 at night, 7 days a week. Cows never took a break. They needed chores done every single day. And I said, he was 60-some years old, and I said, when's the last time you took a vacation? He said, I was 21 when I got married. And he said, I've been sick a few times, but I realized this guy had a big smile on his face. He was living the good life. He had a thriving business. He was healing. He was working with the land. He was, they're Christians. He was living out his religious faith. He had his wife, children, grandchildren all around him. He was living the good life. I'm not saying you and I need to follow that path, but I'm saying if you narrowed down, if you boiled down what he did, you know what it was? It was reliability. Every day he woke up, just like Charlie Munger, the self-made billionaire, of course, is on a different path from the Amish, but Charlie Munger said the same thing. Every day, go to bed a little bit wiser. This is what the 67 steps in. It's not the greatest thing in the world. You'll find other wise people that are much wiser than me, much more successful. I'm just asking for 67 days. I'm asking you to stick with it. Don't make excuses to yourself. Again, I'm not going to follow up and track you down. It's your life. But if you want the outcome that I think you want if you're here, which is the good life, the 4 pillars, health, wealth, love, and happiness, and all those things, that magical potion the whole world has literally been trying to get, and 99% of people never get. It's like the ancient spiritual teacher said, wide is the path that leads to destruction, and many go on it. And narrow is the path that leads to the kingdom. And I'm not religious, and I don't mean that in a spiritual sense. I mean, think about it. That's the world you see. Wide is the path that people go down of eating the wrong food and shortening their life, right? Wide is the path of people making horrible decisions financially and not making any money and never having financial independence. Wide is the path of people having dysfunctional social relationships, friends, family, love. Wide is the path of people never being fulfilled. And narrow, and that's what the 67 steps, we're going to be studying those people who went down the narrow path. And you can become one of those people, right? My only promise to you is I'm going to lay out what the wisest people in history, the wisest people of our time today, what they understand about finding the good life. And specifically, because that's a broad subject, right? You can talk for years on how to make money and business and health and all this. We're going to specifically focus on the framing and the rewiring of our brain. Our brain is not, and I repeat, not wired to be successful. It isn't. If you read The Selfish Gene by Richard Dawkins, he lays it out. Our body is on its own path. You know, it wants to reproduce. It doesn't care. In history, people died at 30 or 40 years old, and that was okay. People continued to adapt and move forward. There was nothing in there that, and like Will Durant says, you know, nature has not read the Declaration of Independence or the French Revolutionary Rights of Man. The Declaration of Independence. These documents say things like life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Well, that's great, but Mother Nature has not set us up that way. And I always say, Stephen Hawking, the great physicist, he says, you know, imagine life like a jigsaw puzzle box. Inside are all the pieces of the puzzle, and they're just randomly, you throw them in there. You shake that box one time, you open it up. Do you expect the puzzle to be magically, randomly have put itself all together? No. So you close it down again and you shake it. Open it again. So you're going to get the same result. Literally, it would take, I don't know what the exact statistic, it could be 1 trillion shakes of that box till you're going to get the pieces all randomly just fallen into place. That means, and the analogy for your life is, most humans are thinking they're going to just go through life enough, go through enough cycles. Ooh, I made some mistakes, I'm going to get better. No, you don't go better. You run out of time. We're only here on the planet so many decades. You won't have enough time to shake the box. So what you have to do is open the box of your life, your brain. Look in, find those pieces, and you use character and force of will and wisdom and the tools that you're about to learn to stick them together, all the pieces of your life. And you know what you end up with if you do it right? A puzzle that fits together, a life that makes sense, a life that you feel, like I say, that you tap dance out of bed every morning because you're like, I'm excited. Ask yourself, honestly, do you wake up 90% of the time and go, boom, today is here and I am excited? Most people don't. If some of you do, my congratulations, and the 67 steps hopefully will continue to complement that life for most of us, myself included. Many times in life, I have not been on that right track. So I hope this will help you get on that track. Feel free, there's a private inbox here on the site. Remember, this is not a public page. You're here because you've gotten access. You know, you went through the page before this and got access. So you're going to have to log in. If you lose your login for whatever reason, you should have gotten a support receipt. If you didn't get it, there's a help button on the page here. My team will send you your email and password. You just log in with your email and password. Now, when you're done, if you forget, it's not to comment on this, on the lesson, you are going to, it's not going to be marked complete, so you can't move forward. Once you enter your little answer there, it'll be marked complete, and then the next one will show up 24 hours later. Boom, boom, boom. If you miss some, you know, they'll keep stacking up. So you should see a link here to download it. You should see a worksheet. On the inbox on the site here, if you click there, you should have an automated welcome message from me. If you reply to that, I usually check it. It's not really my staff. I get behind because I'm starting to get, you know, thousands of emails at a time. But those of you who are in the program and you're really sticking with it, we made the software. I can tell people who are deeper into the lesson, and I pay more attention to them. So I pay attention. People who meet me halfway, if you show your commitment, I'm gonna pay more attention. You know, I can't promise that I will have a lot of time to talk just to you individually. Now, I'll just say, some of you also, when you signed up for 67 steps, you signed up. We had some advanced offers you could have for some of the advanced upgrades. If you're in those, we have all the, you know, white belt all the way up to black belt. So if you're really interested as you go through this, consider the upgrades. I'm not just saying that for money reasons. This is not the majority of how I make my money. I'm an investor and make money in other things. But I do believe in charging for stuff because I've already tested it. No one pays attention if I give stuff away completely for free. So some of these upgrades are vital about business, if you want some specific stuff. So consider doing those. Any questions, you can ask my staff or email me in the private inbox, okay? So remember, reliability. No sloth or unreliability. That guarantees you that it negates everything you're about to learn. If you don't have reliability and you're lazy, you're done. So hopefully, if you even have 1% of that in you by the end of these 67 days, we've rewired like the University College London found. That's enough time to rewire. So excited to see you there. Make sure you add me on social networks because I drop in some stuff that's relevant to this on my Tai Lopez Twitter. You should see the links on my site. YouTube, I put some things that are relevant in Instagram. Some of you have a book that we've sent you or a book that you've purchased from the site. Be sure to be doing that as you go along with the 67 steps. Okay, there's the supplementary books. If you get through with any books, you can always click on the book link here on my site. I list literally, remember there's 130 million books. There's too many for you to read through. So I've read thousands of books. You can kind of start with the top, start at number one. I rank them in order, all the way hundreds of books ranked what I think are the best. You don't have to read them in the exact order, but try to stick with the order. Relatively close with, don't skip and start at number 30. Start on number 1, 2, 3, or 4. Keep going through the list, okay? So I will see you inside right after this oh yeah, by the way, you need to close this lesson out because this is, even though it's an intro, it's a lesson. Here's the question for you. What's the one thing? I'm a big believer in the one thing. At the end of these 67 days, this program, you've gone through it. It's the biggest outcome you want. Specific. Is it lose 30 pounds from this system? Is it make $1 million? Is it get married? Is it, increase your social circle, make tons of friends, become popular? Is it find inner peace and fulfillment and tap dance out of it? What is the thing? Write it right here on the page. And also there'll be a worksheet here. Print that out. That's the first thing. Don't go into thing with no end game goals. People never have an end game. I get thousands of people writing me questions. Hey, Ty, I want this. I'm like, what's your end game? Stop telling me about the mid game. What's your end game? Like Warren Buffett says, to get what you want, start at 80 and work your way backwards. If you're 18 listening to this, or if you're 40, or if you're 60, whatever age, all ages, whatever country, start at the end game and build life in reverse. That's inversion. Always invert. There's a lot of strength in inversion. There's a good book here about a mathematician wrote. See if I can find it. He says if you want to test various logic to see if things are logical or not, he's like, invert it. So we are inverting right here. Okay? So I think that's enough. Leave that comment right now, and then that'll move you, and you can immediately start on number 1 of the 67 steps. Okay? Each of those. So hopefully you listen to this, comment, and have enough time to listen to the first of the 67 steps. Knock that out today. The first one is the most important one. Really, the first 10 are ultra important. Like I said, though, if you listen to the first 10 and stop, I don't mean this in some weird way. I'm telling you, it all works together. I did not randomly pick. I packed in 1,000 principles that I've collected since I was 16 years old, and I moved them all into 67. This stuff's meaty. I'm not a lightweight guy in the sense that I'm not going to give you fluff and cliches. My promise to you is this is stuff you haven't heard before. You might have heard a little bit from me about this in my free YouTube videos, but this goes way deeper. This is a specific program for people really like you that are really engaged. Okay? So thanks so much. Leave the comment and move right to lesson 1, number 1 of the 67 steps. Remember, end game goal, reliability, and then add your specific. Be specific. You want to lose 17 pounds? Let's get that going. Want to make an extra $10,000 a month? Let's get on it. I'm not saying you'll have it in 67 days. Remember, I'm no get-rich-quick scheme. I'm the antithesis of that. But I'm saying, like Joel Salatin used to tell me, make haste slowly, meaning start immediately but set realistic time frames. Peter Drucker says 18 months is a good time frame, but you can start today. John Wooden, the great UCLA basketball coach, he said, be quick, but not in a hurry. So today I want you to be quick. Start immediately. Be reliable. Get through the 67 steps. End game oriented, whatever that end game you want is. And then we shall continue on. At that point, and even during this, look at some of the upgrades. This stuff gets more advanced. As far down you want to go, the rabbit hole, we can go. All right? You can continue to learn. So very excited. And this is one of the favorite things I've ever done in my life in terms of putting together this body of knowledge that's I've called 67 steps. So see you in a few minutes, and some of them are audios, some are videos, and then I'll see you 67 days later, hopefully. Some of you I hope to meet in person if I haven't, and I do live events, tour, I open up my house sometimes here in Hollywood. And I genuinely do this because I think that it's important that we, as a group of people on this planet, civilization, that we move forward, and we're gonna have to do that somewhat together, you know. So I genuinely do this because I get excited to see people having revolutionary changes in their life. I don't use that cliche. I literally get people saying, and it's not because of me. Like I said, I'm a man. That's it. I don't want to be some, I mentor in the sense that people maybe learn some things from me, but I don't know that I'm a mentor, right? That's kind of a weird irony. A mentor, I think, qualifies better when they're dead, right? I'm just a man, so I'm gonna make some mistakes. I don't want to be, it's no reputational thing here. It's just, if you like what I say and it helps you get towards your end game, I'm excited. That's as simple as that. Let's not qualify or complicate things. So I'll see you soon. Thanks so much.